Hello, guys, and I am back with another episode today. I'm sorry I've been away for quite a while, because between life getting busy, plus me creating the team in game and testing it out, continuing the journey that we went on last episode, it just took a while. And so I did a little bit more testing with the team that we built on stream, and I made a couple of changes. Now, initially, I thought about recording some videos on that, but I didn't want that to get too long. And so I just did my own testing, made changes, and I will show you guys the team in just a moment. So I'll walk you guys through my thought process, what changes I made, and why I made those changes. And then once we go through the team breakdown, then we'll jump into some games back on the game. So yeah, if you guys like this series, please do show your support by liking the video and commenting down below as to what changes you like to see in this team and what core you'd like me to use in the upcoming episodes. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into the team breakdown. So as you can see here, we kept most of the core the same. If you guys remembered last time, we had the Mousehold Flutter main Tatsugiri and Dondozo. Now, as I mentioned at the end of the last episode, I was going to try a more offensive Mousehold, and after trying a couple of games with it, I definitely did like it. Now, what changed is the other two Pokemon, right? And in the first iteration of this team, we had slower, more supportive Pokemon, right? We had the Iron Hand. But one thing that I realized about this team is that it did not do well whatsoever against super offensive teams that our Flutter Mane and Mousehold cannot deal with. So Pokemon like, let's say, Armor Rouge, for example, or Ceruledge really gave us trouble because they can pretty much stop anything that Mousehold and Flutter Mane has for them, right? So what I needed was more offensive threats that can clear out the way and give Dondozo and Tatsugiri a safe switch in the back as the late game. Now, one of the tip for when you guys are team building, even if you're building your own team, try to use the same ideas as you see pros use, right? Because those are tried and tested. And so if you guys know, the most common Dondozo Flutter Mane team going on right now is the Flutter Mane with the Iron Moth, Dondozo Tatsugiri, as well as two other offensive threats, usually either Dragonite or Iron Bundle, anything of that sort. And so I went in with the same idea here. I want 4 solid attackers that can cover all of my grounds, that can deal super effective damage against, almost all typings out there. And then once my opponent's threats have been neutralized, then Dondozo Tatsugiri can come in safely. Other modes of this team could just be Tatsugiri going in without the Dondozo as more of a supportive team, or Pokemon that we can use for the taunts support, for the muddy water damage and Draco Meteor. And then Mousehold again, the reason why I like Mousehold personally is because you can have a hybrid of some damage, but also follow me support and encore support for the rest of the team, depending on what they need. Now for the last two, the reason why I decided to go for Sandy Shocks and Tauros is because, first of all, I realized that most of the Haze Pokemon is flying type, right? If we think about Murkrow, which is the most common one, Thunderbolt deals with that. Another Haze user right now in the meta is Palafin, which is also weak to Thunderbolt. So Thunderbolt deals with both of those really well. And now another threat potentially is the Gastrodon, right? Or any Clear Smog users like Among Us. And so for the third move slot in Sandy Shocks, I decided to go with Terra Blast and Terra Flying. So that way we can deal super effective damage to the Among Us. Now, of course, Gastrodon is still a problem, but at least now we have some answer to it. And now to round out the comp, initially I had Arcanine there. But the thing about Arcanine is that while it did deal damage, it didn't have the coverage that I wanted, primarily with the fighting type. And so that's why I decided to change to Tauros instead, because Tauros just loses the Will-O-Wisp, but otherwise has everything else that you want from an Arcanine, right? And it has Raging Bull, which is a good, solid fire type move, has close combats, and I gave it Iron Head to deal with the fairy type, which our team sorts of struggles with, especially if it's an opposing Fluttermane, let's say, or a Sylveon. So that's why I decided to go with the Iron Head instead. And now lastly, we went Safety Goggles and Terra Grass to avoid Amoonguss from sporing or Rage Powdering into that Tauros slot. So yeah, I've been practicing with this team a little bit on Pokemon Showdown, and we found some success. There still need to be more testing to be done. And the only one that I am not 100% sure about is Mousehold. While Mousehold does provide good, offensive and supportive pressure to my opponent, I think the lack of dark types in this team definitely makes it tough against a solid Trick Room team. And that's something that we've struggled with on Pokemon Showdown. So today I'm going to be, paying close attention to that. I'm going to be playing around, Tatsugiri's taunts, maybe, or just nuking them down with Fluttermane Ghost type, and see how we do. But in the future, I might decide to change the Mousehold slot into, let's say, a Brute Bonnet or Meowscarada, maybe even Tyranitar, just to get that dark type coverage. But yeah, that is the team breakdown, and let's jump into the battles now. I forgot to mention once again, but if you guys would like to try this team out, I will give you guys the rental code and the PokePaste down in the description below, so feel free to try it out and let me know in the comments what you guys would change to this team, if any, or what success you've had with using this team. Alright, so it looks like Sandy Shocks is in a really good position here, and I think I'm happy to go Sandy Shocks and Mousehold for the support. And then at the back, would this be a good game for Dondozo Tatsugiri? They don't really have much to deal with it, and considering that we are Terra Steel, as long as we deal with the Amoonguss and the Murkrow, I think we should be in a really good position. I think you can make a case for Tauros as well, but I think considering that most of them are special attackers outside of the Iron Hands, I don't think Tauros can provide too much support, and Fluttermane just gets bodied by a lot of their Pokemon, and we can't really deal much damage back. So yeah, I think I like Dondozo Tatsugiri as the last two. Now, of course, if you guys have tried Dondozo Tatsugiri yourself, it is a tough core to play around, just because sometimes you feel forced to bring both of them together. And I think what separates a good Dondozo Tatsugiri player from an average or a mediocre player is the ability to figure out, when you should bring it. But it looks like my opponent decided to start with Murkrow, which is actually really good news for us. And that Iron Bundle is not a booster energy. So I feel pretty good just Thunderbolting into the Murkrow slots. Okay, now actually I need to be careful here. I think we Thunderbolt into the slots. I'm predicting that my opponent is gonna go Tailwind and either Freeze Dry or Hydro Pump into the Sandy Shock slots. So Mousehold's just going to follow me here. Okay, that's even better. So this means that that's one less threat for my opponent to deal with Dondozo, which is perfect. Yep, Tailwind doesn't scare us at this point, and this should just get the one-hit KO. Awesome. Okay, now the only other threat really that my opponent has is maybe the Amoonguss, but even then I'm not super worried. So it looks like the Goldengo comes out this time around. Now the Goldengo, Shadow Ball. No, my opponent cannot Shadow Ball because otherwise I would just follow me. They're most probably just going to use Make It Rain. So here, between the two, who's more threatening? I think definitely the Delibird here, because it can lower our speed. So I think I'll Thunderbolt into that slot and just follow me here. I think we don't need Mouse Hold for damage. We just need Mouse Hold to protect Sandy Shocks as long as possible. Let's see what my opponent does. Fling! Interesting. What does that do? Lancet Berry. I have never seen that move before, but that's interesting. Okay. So yeah, as you can see there, Make It Rain does not really hurt us too much, right? If at all. And now its special attack is lowered, so I'm not scared of the Goldengo. It really depends on who my opponent has at the back. And it looks like our lead is just strong enough to, you know, knock out most of my opponent's Pokemon. Okay. So here I think I want to scout what my opponents will do. So I'm just going to double protect here. And if my opponent goes for, like, let's say Nasty Plot. Actually, how many more turns do they have of Tailwind? I'm thinking, okay, they have 2 more turns. Yeah, my Mouse Hold is still going to be faster than their Garganacl. So Garganacl is most probably just going to use Salt Cure. And I'm thinking of just encoring into that slot so it cannot protect or recover. Okay, so we're just gonna protect here. Let's see what my opponent does. And if it's not Salt Cure, okay. I was gonna say if it's not Salt Cure, then I think we already have this in the bag. I think regardless, we shouldn't lose this one. But yeah, we just want to still be careful here. So I think here I'd rather just Earth Power that slot. So I'm not too scared of Goldengo anymore. And here, actually, you know what? At this point, we might as well just kill it first. Kill the Goldengo, and then follow me. So we don't die to, let's say, a Shadow Ball. I doubt we will anyways, but this should seal the deal if we can kill it. Let's see. Yeah, his special attack is down by 2 now. I'm definitely very happy with... Ooh, is that Focus Sash? Interesting, okay. I don't think it should matter. Oh, it's Weakness Policy. That's a bit unfortunate, but overall, I don't think it should affect anything, really. Okay. Because, yeah, we are faster. So here, I'm happy to just bring probably Tatsugiri in. And then Tatsugiri go for the taunts on the Garganacl. And here, I have a feeling that my opponent's Goldengo is going to protect, but even if it does, I don't think it matters too much. So here we can just taunt. I'm sure taunt works against his ability, right? Purifying Salt. I think it should. So let's see. Well, either way we can learn. I think between, you know, Thunderbolt and Earth Power, we already have a lot of coverage there from Sandy Shocks. Now pair that with a flying type move and we pretty much can hit almost everything for super effective. Okay, so my opponent did protect, which is what we expected. But now here the taunts will go off. I just noticed my opponent hasn't Terra'd either. Okay, so now we know that the Garganacl can't protect. So Salt Cure is fine. It shouldn't kill us. Yep. At this point, it deals very little damage. And this shouldn't kill us either. Yep. Now, the worst case scenario is my opponent gets the double protect here. But at that point, I don't think it should matter. Because here we can just Earth Power. And then we just muddy water here, I think. Oh, he does get the double protect, but I think it's fine. Hopefully we get the accuracy drop, and then he misses. But again, I don't think we can lose this one. So we do land the muddy water. That does very nice damage. Oh, and he doesn't salt cure. Do we survive then? Let's see. I know my opponent cannot protect anymore. If we survive, then this is definitely over. Yep, we survive. Okay. I mean, at this point, I should probably just... Yeah, I doubt my opponent can do anything here, so I might as well just use Earth Power on the Garganacle instead. And he goes for our third Protect, which is fine. And here we just Earth Power this slot to kill it. So even if he got the third Protect, it would have been over. Okay, and we land Muddy Water here, or we don't. And the game goes on for a little bit longer, but yeah. I think overall that was a pretty clean game. Just shows you the power of Sandy Shocks with that booster energy. Because we guaranteed to be the fastest Pokemon on the field. So yeah, great game one. Let's just close this out. At this point it's just formality. And then yeah, jump into game two. Now if we had Brute Bonnet there to do Rage Powder instead of having the Mouse Hold, would it have made a difference? I don't think so. So just now it wasn't so much that, you know, Mouse Hold was good as it is, you know, having Rage Powder support was good. Okay, so we won there. Yeah, so I think that wasn't really Mouse Hold shining. I guess maybe it protects us from the Shadow Balls, but Brute Bonnet would have done the same thing. So yeah, I think between Mouse Hold and Brute Bonnet, that game wasn't really the best game to decide which one's best. I think either way, Sandy Shocks was by far the MVP there. So yeah, let's jump into the next game. Alright, with our next game, we've got an interesting team of Zeraora, Scizor, Garganacle, Baxcalibur, Mimikyu, and Sandy Shocks. Now, I've seen a Zeraora team, or not Zeraora, sorry, Zoroark team running around, but I'm not sure if this is the exact same one. Now, how do we deal with this? I mean, my guess is that my opponent would most probably lead Zeraora and have Scizor in the back. I think that would make the most sense. I think if we lead Flutter Mane and Mouse Hold here, or actually since both Zoroark, that name's very hard to pronounce, and Scizor are both physical, and so is Garganicle and Mimikyu, I think having Tauros here is really good. So let's start with Tauros and Sandy Shocks for that booster energy support. I think I'd rather not bring Dondozo here, just because, you know, they have a couple of ways of dealing with it. Plus Salt Cure, as you can see just now, is scary if it went to our Dondozo. So this is, I think, one of those games where it's better that we don't bring it. Let's see what my opponent does. I think once we figure out who Zoroark is, it would make it a whole lot easier. Yeah, that's what I expected. I just have a feeling that Scizor is not really a Scizor. This is where the mind game comes in. But I think either way, Scizor and Zoroark are both weak to close combat, so I think I just close combat into that slot. Now what can it do to me? No, you know what? I think if I'm my opponent, I would protect there. Because you definitely have to be scared of the Tauros, so I'd rather just deal with the Mimikyu now. And I don't think my opponent has much that can... Yep, he just protects. Even if my opponent attacked there, I don't think he would have much to deal with my two leads here. So yeah. We got the nice kill on Mimikyu. Oh, that did not kill. Yeah, but Playwright doesn't deal enough damage. So yeah, I think it's fine. Now here, I'm happy to go for a close combat into the slots. And if it's actually a Scizor, then we might just want to Earth Power maybe? Actually, no, I'd rather just... I think dealing with the Mimikyu, knowing that it's actually Mimikyu, is probably the best play here. Let's see what my opponent does. It's gonna Terra into... This is gonna be Fairy. Fire. I mean, I think that's okay. Man, if I Earth Powered into that slot, that would have felt so good. But that's not gonna be the case. But again, I don't think my opponent has anything to deal with the Sandy Shocks at this moment, so I think we're okay still. Let's see, is this actually Zorora? No, it's actually Scizor, okay. But I think that's fine. So he might not bring the Zorora then. Or Zoroark. I keep on saying Zorora for some reason. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, and Tauros survives. What a Chad. Okay. But yeah, even if Tauros fell, I wouldn't feel too bad considering who we still have at the back, right? And once we deal with Scizor, then Flutter Mane can pretty much come in and maybe even just sweep. Yeah, I'm not too scared of the Garganical. I think here, again, my opponent would protect, and even if he doesn't, it's fine. So I'd rather just double up into this slot. Yep, my opponent protects. And so we're just gonna get the knockout here on Sucker Punch onto Garganical. I mean, you learn something new every day, right? I definitely did not expect that whatsoever, but this should still do, you know, good damage there. Oh, that's Zoroark. Sorry, Zoroark. I'm getting all confused. Okay, that made a whole lot more sense there. Okay. So I think that's fine. You know, we still did a good chunk of damage. Now, I don't know Zoroark's speed, so I'd rather just follow me and conserve the Sandy Shocks, and here we should get a pretty free kill to the Scizor. Oh, he protects, even better. And I'm guessing this Bullet Punch coming out. Bullet Punch to Mousehold shouldn't hurt too much. Okay, no Bullet Punch, so we just get the knockout here. So yeah, I think overall this is a pretty clean game. Again, Sandy Shocks is such a menace when you don't have the right answers for it. And I think most teams prepare against Flutter Mane, prepare against Iron Hands, and prepare against Iron Bundle. But I feel like Sandy Shocks is one of the most slept on Pokemon out there. And as you can see, not a lot of teams can deal with it. Now, I'm not sure if I'm faster. He might go for a Sucker Punch here. But I think I'd rather just Encore into that slot. Because if he Sucker Punch, then we'll just do Follow Me next turn. And Sucker Punch will always fail. And then we'll just Earth Power into that slot. He protects. What does my opponent do? Does he go for the Sucker Punch? Yep, he does. And we go for the Encore to lock him into Sucker Punch. That's awesome. Alright, so this Zoroark is basically a dead slot for them. And now we just gotta focus down the Garganical here. Plus we still have our Flutter Mane in the back. And Fluttermane can definitely deal with Zoroark, so I think we're good here. Oh, I forgot to follow me. I literally just said it, but yeah, it didn't matter in the end. I think we just deal with the Garganacl here. This should knock it out with 10 hits, assuming we don't miss any. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, this should kill. Exactly 10. Oh! Okay, I miscounted. So he will get 10 hits off. That's fine. Yeah, again, at this point, I feel like it's just a formality. I mean, my opponent is most probably going to protect his Garganacl here. But again, it does not matter whatsoever. So we're just gonna follow me. And then we're just gonna... You know what? I might as well just Earth Power into this slot. Because if he protects, nothing happens. And if he Salt Cure into Maushold, that's not gonna be a lot of damage either. Yep, that's fine. I think my opponent was definitely playing a bit too scared here against my Sandy Shocks, which makes sense. But, you know, as a result of that, it just made it very predictable. Alright, so we got 2 clean wins here. And I think, yeah, we haven't really tested the team as much as, you know, showing why Sandy Shocks is such a solid Pokemon in this meta right now. And yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't tried Sandy Shocks, I definitely haven't before this team right here. Make sure you guys do try it out because, man, it's so much fun when you can just one-shot a lot of Pokemon out there. And especially when you have the booster energy to pair up with that. You're no longer scared of, you know, Iron Bundle or Fluttermane as long as they don't have a booster energy. So yeah, it's a very solid Pokemon for you to try out overall. Alright guys, I think that's 2 solid battle. We're definitely going to keep on trying with this team. I'm going to get Brute Bonnet prepared on the side as well, just in case we want to try it out. But yeah, we will be continuing with this team. Again, if you guys want to try it out in your own battles or bring it to your rank ladder, I will put the team rental and the Pokepaste down in the description below. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again in the next one. Bye!